Dr. James Whitehead was a graduate of Lake City High School and the Medical University of South Carolina. After completing his internship at Spartanburg General, he returned to Lake City, where he practiced medicine for 55 years. In 1938, he oversaw the construction of this two-story building, which was built as a 14-bed obstetric hospital with few other local options for professional medical care. However, Whitehead Infirmary quickly became the primary acute care facility in town. Whitehead Infirmary was then established at a time when childbirth was increasingly occurring outside of the home. By 1950, the majority of U.S. births took place in a hospital, and Whitehead Infirmary was part of the shift in medical practices. In addition to obstetrics, Dr. Whitehead also performed general surgery and treated numerous victims of traumatic injuries. The infirmary closed in 1959, but Whitehead maintained a clinic here until his retirement in 1986. Well, it's the Lynch Lake Historical Society, and I kind of was wanting to go in there, but I knew that we wouldn't be able to, so I didn't put it on the list, you know. Church Street. Before the 1820s, this intersection of two major roads, one from Georgetown to Camden and the other from Charleston to Churrall, was popularly called the Crossroads. After Aaron Graham built a house here in 1830, the area became known as Graham's Crossroads. Church Street and North Main South Road through the town until 1924 was named soon after Bethlehem Baptist Church, now Lake City First Baptist Church, was built in 1828. Main Street, the main east-west road through the town, first appeared by that name on an 1812 plat. Before the Civil War, this crossroads featured an inn, post office, drugstore, cotton gin, and an academy. Graham's Methodist, now Lake City Methodist Church, was built on Main Street in 1876. Stores and warehouses were built on Railroad Avenue, renamed Ackline Avenue in 1898, when the Atlantic Coastline Railroad bought the Northeast Railroad. Lake City, this area is what was then Williamsburg Township, which was settled in 1754 by members of the Dick, Graham, McAllister, Scott, and other families. Several residents served under Francis Marion during the Revolution. By 1820s, the community was sometimes called the Crossroads for the intersection of the two major roads, now Main Street and Church Street. This area was known as Graham's Crossroad for Aaron Graham, who built a house here in 1830. The post office opened here in 1848 and was named Lynch's Lake. The town grew after the Northeast Railroad was completed in 1857 and was chartered as Graham in 1874 and renamed Lake City in 1883. It was in Williamsburg County until 1912. Its tobacco market opened in 1899 and was among the largest in South Carolina. Its bean market opened in 1936 and was once the world's largest in the world. This building building was originally called the Lake City Municipal Auction Market and was built in 1936. With assistance from the Public Works Administration, it was soon popularly called the Lake City Bean Market to recognize the town's claim to the largest bean market in the world before World War II. Extensively restored, it opened in 2011 as a community center and sponsors year-round events. Lake City was a significant produce market as early as 1894, shipping fruits and vegetables to northern markets until World War I. The market revived in the late 1920s and flourished during the Depression when it shipped beans, squash, cucumbers, peas, and other vegetables. Lake City was one of the largest truck markets in the U.S. and claimed to be the largest string bean or snap bean market in the world. Cooper. The H.H. Singletary building. Singletary was a pioneer in the creation, prosperity, and early prosperity of Lake City produce market in 1890s. Shipping local strawberries to northern markets, he gave assistance to many institutions in Lake City, donating lumber for the first school in 1878 and land to the second school in 1888. The land for the first sanctuary of Lake City Presbyterian Church was built in 1888. This two-story commercial building was built in 1910 by Henry Horace Singletary as the H.H. Singletary Company with a grocery store on the first floor. Singletary, perhaps the most prominent business and civic leader in the town from Reconstruction into the 20th century, once owned almost 600 acres and was what is now downtown Lake City. He also ran a sawmill and brickyard. Constructed in 1907, this building originally housed Farmers and Merchants Bank. In 1934, the newly formed Palmetto State Bank opened here. On September 5th, 1934, the bank was robbed by 3 armed men. The bank had the larger than normal deposits on hand because it was the height of tobacco marketing season, and the group stole a reported $114,082 worth. Frank English and his wife Geneva were the only people tried for the crime. I bet that's a lot of money back then. At trial, it was alleged that English was the associate of George Babyface Nelson and that the notorious criminals were involved in the crime, but that was never proven. Frank English was sentenced to 25 years and Geneva English received 1 year as an accessory. Palmetto State failed due to the robbery, but depositors were repaid by the newly established FDIC. It was the first time the FDIC issued bank had closed in South Carolina. The bee's knees, huh?
It's like you get the ginger taste without the bite.
Look, their East Main Street sign lights up.
Yeah, I knew it had light bulbs. I just didn't know
the seats look like they come out of a movie theater. Well, we know we want brisket, right?
12? No, you wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't have. You wouldn't have got any door.
Oh, you was 12. It was running out the door. It was something.
Really?
Wow.
Boy, that looks good. Oh boy, that looks good.
Yeah, I could have gotten more size, but I don't.
This church was founded in 1883 by Reverend Hill and 25 charter members. Early services were held in a member's house on East Main Street. The congregation purchased a lot at the corner of Lake and North Church Street in 1885 and built this first sanctuary, a frame building, that year. That church was renovated and enlarged in 1917 and was further renovated, adding a steeple in 1948 to 1950. In 1951, Reverend J.A. Delaney was transferred from here, Pine Cove AME Church, to Somerton after playing a leading role in Briggs versus Elliott, the Caldwell County school desegregation case that led to Brown versus Board of Education. Unknown persons burned the church in October 1955. Reverend G. Lee Brayler was the pastor when the new sanctuary named Greater St. James was dedicated here in 1957. This building was built in 1912 for the Imperial Tobacco Company of Great Britain and Ireland to re-dry and process tobacco after it was sold, and before it was aged in a warehouse. Imperial bought and processed flue-cured tobacco in 5 southern states for most of the 20th century. The plant, once the largest re-drying plant in South Carolina, was sold to T.S. Ragsdale and Company of Lake City in 1960 and closed in 1971. Farmers in the vicinity began growing tobacco in the early 1890s, and by 1895 Lake City opened its first tobacco market and warehouse. It built its second warehouse in 1903, a third by 1909, and 2 more by 1917. In the heart of South Carolina, the Tobacco Belt, this was the second largest market in the state for most of the 20th century, and one of the largest in the 5 states producing flue-cured tobacco. The W.T. Askins House. This folk Victorian house with pierced brackets and fretwork on its 2-tiered porch was built in 1895 for William Thomas Askins. Askins, a merchant and farmer, built and operated 5 stores here in 1890s, including the general store W.T. Askins and Sons. He and his 3 sons also owned several tobacco and truck farms on the outskirts of Lake City. This house was listed in the National Register of Historic Places in 1995. Well, it is pretty. The good of the hive. Well, we're going to go up here and look. I guess they're closed on Sundays. Breakfast, burgers, and wings. Wonder why this place wasn't like listed as a restaurant.
Oh, wow.
What? Oh, cool. That is so neat. Stones, those grinding stones right there.
Yeah.
So that had to. So that had to be like a grist mill, or maybe could it be for grinding up tobacco? look, this is 1918. He must have loved her to bury her in such a elaborate way.
His last name was Draper.
A soldier of the Confederacy, a soldier of the cross.
I don't know. Yeah, 20 years old already.
Private Leroy Brown. Right, what's a woodsman of the world? As a testimony of Jean's love and devotion to athletics, education, and the community of Clemson University, Athletic Hall of Fame in 1993, Clemson University, Eugene T. Moore School of Education, 2002. Founder of the National Bean Market Museum in Lake City. With deep roots in the family soil, Gene chose this final resting place, his beloved Cook Cemetery, close to his family farm. He was a cadet at Clemson Agricultural College, second lieutenant in the U.S. Army. He was in the Korean War. He was president of the Lions Club. And he's buried with his wife, who went to Winthrop and was a pianist and teacher in Florence. Wish everybody's stuff was like that. Here's some more Korean veterans. Julius. Did you see all these babies? No, because one was died the same day it was born in 1910, and one died the same day in 1908, 1906, 1905, 1903. They named them. Major A.J. Cook. That one's got to be old. You can't even read it. They got a fishing pier. I like how they got the fireplace too.
Take cave splunking for fish.
They got red oaks, persimmon trees, magnolias, river birch, southern maple. They got a wood duck box.
It's hollow.
It's cool.
You can see the water level's been up a foot higher before.